Hey guys, my name is Robby Christmas, pastor of Family Church in the Farms, and my good friend and yours, Phil Dvorak, goes to our church. And Phil asked me to just say a little something to people going through recovery in this time of quarantine, which I can imagine would be a really, really tough thing to do. And so I just wanted to offer a little word of encouragement, and it has to do with this flower right here. This is probably my favorite flower at our house. It's just so bright and colorful and full. I just love it. But when I found this guy, it didn't look like that at all. In fact, when we first found this flower, it looked more like this. It was more pitiful than beautiful. In fact, we found him right over here, just coming up out of this crack. It's amazing it survived at all. It was in a really, really tough spot. My son had an idea. He said, "Dad, what if we could pull it out of there and plant it in the dirt and see if it'll grow?" So we very carefully, very gently pulled it out, got the roots, we brought it over here, we planted it in good soil, watered it, got plenty of sun, and now it thrives. Really, really cool story of what God can do in our lives. And so, as I thought about the story of this little flower, two thoughts came to mind. One is, sometimes being in a tough spot prepares us to thrive. Now, I'm not a botanist, but I like to think that it was the time this guy spent in the trial that prepared him to thrive. And that's how God works in our lives sometimes. In fact, that reminds me of the story of Joseph. I was reading this morning in Genesis chapter 50. Joseph got betrayed and rejected by his brothers, sold into slavery, and ended up in a dungeon in Egypt. That was a tough spot. But in Genesis 50, verse 20, Joseph says to his brothers, years and years later, Joseph says, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good, to accomplish what is happening now, the saving of many lives." And that's how God works. And so sometimes we go through trials, but God's preparing us for something, and God's preparing us to be used by Him for His purposes. You know, the other thought that comes to my mind is sometimes we don't have any control over our environment. Sometimes we do. So which one is this quarantine? Do we have control or do we not? Well, it's actually a little bit of both. No, we can't go to meetings like we normally did, and we can't go to church like we normally did, and we can't be around the people and the encouragement and the support and the community like we did before. But because of technology today, we can still experience some level of connection and community. And so I just want to encourage you guys, like I'm doing and like I'm encouraging my friends. Get in a virtual group. Watch solid truth on YouTube videos. Fill your brain, fill your mind with anything you can that's going to help you move forward in your recovery. Get your phone and get on FaceTime with a sponsor or a friend. Encourage one another, lift one another up. We still can, in some ways, get ourselves into an environment where we can grow and thrive. And I believe that God's plan for each one of us is to take us out of a tough spot, eventually for us to thrive once again, and for Him to use us for His purposes. And that's what I'm praying for you.